a serious situation, it would be a good laugh.
There must have been 30 or 40 people in the room when the police arrived.
Clarkson!
Jesus Christ, no, I'm too close to the edge.
Let's sing a song.
No.
I am sitting where Jim Clark sat.
Going in hard and hard. We're fleeing!
OK, flee. Well, they'll be using a pistol, won't he?
I think you're going to like this series, and I particularly think you're going to like how it begins, because even over here on this side of the pond, we recognise that Detroit is the spiritual home to anyone whose communion wine is petrol and whose heart beats like a big, lumpy, wet V8. Which is why this week, and it's long overdue, the Grand Tour is off to the Motor City with an idea. Of course, the whole world knows that Detroit is now a shadow of its former self. But we also know that efforts are being made to bring life back to the ruins, with urban farms. Local people are being encouraged to grow kale and beans and seeds in plots like this, where houses and businesses once stood. It breaks your heart. I mean, this is Detroit. It shouldn't be a help-yourself pop-up street allotment for organic vegan peace hippies, when it could be a pulsating playground for the petrol head. It has the roads. It has the space. It was built by the rumble of a V8, and it should rumble to that sound once more. So that's what we've come here to do. Make some noise. These are the toys we'll be using. 3 American muscle cars, all of which have been tuned to a tire-shredding DEFCON 1. I have the Ford Mustang RTR Spec 3. Mr. Slowly has what's called the Exorcist. And in his whining Dodge Challenger Demon, Hammond has an erection.
To make this, they took a Hellcat, I drove one before on the show, and just made it more of everything. Are you ready?
Hellfire. This car is tuned by Hennessy. They've taken a standard Camaro and they've given it 1,000 horsepower. They haven't touched anything else, only the engine. Wheels are standard, brakes are standard, suspension is standard, bodywork is standard. It's all standard except the power. Hellfire. Oh, that's interesting. Hey! It's idiotic, honestly. And yay, they haven't touched anything else, only the engine. Wheels are standard, brakes are standard, suspension is standard, bodywork is standard. It's all standard except the power. Hellfire. Quite slow there. Concentrate, this is not a complicated one. It's idiotic, honestly. And yea, though I walk in the shadow of the valley of death, I will fear no evil. Because I am the Exorcist.
This may look small and delicate compared to the other two, but be in no doubt, it has the muscle car credentials. Oh, yeah. The fact is that the engine in Hammond's car is a push-rod, two-valve iron museum piece. And May's car, yes, it has 1,000 horsepower, but it's running on standard brakes. This is just a little bit cleverer. They haven't just put a supercharger on it, which is quite scary through here. Look at that for a tidy line. Joshua of muscle cars. Big and brawny, but it has brains as well. Then there's its name. It's the RTR, which stands for, and I'm not making this up, Ready to Rock.
Chaps, did you know mine only comes with one seat as standard?
Really?
What?
As standard, you get one seat in a Demon. You can opt to have the others put back in, and it costs you $1.
Which seat do they put in as standard?
Eventually, we decided to pull over in our motoring theme park to see which of our fairground muscle rides would be the fastest in a street drag race. So, what I'm thinking is, here, when the lights go green, down, what's a quarter of a mile, just beyond the church?
Yeah, something like that.
Perfect.
What if the police come?
Well, he won't, he's in Beverly Hills. I've seen the movie.
Why can't we just do this on a racetrack or a runway like we usually do?
Because we're here to prove that this is a racetrack.
Detroit is empty now and should just be used for this sort of thing.
Yes, but it isn't a real race. It's an actual race.
No, it is.
is.
This is where the muscle car was born.
I can't
It's a
do it.
Why can't you do it?
Because Dodge only lent me that car if I promised not to do any drag racing on the road with it.
What?
But it is.
That's what it's for.
I know.
It's literally what it's for.
Yes, I know, but that's the way it is. I'm sorry.
Do you think it's an insurance?
It is. It's because it's
No,
him.
it's
because
not.
They don't want it on the roof.
Who's driving it? Richard Hammond.
You can't drive it.
It's just what they said, and I'm really sorry, so we can't do it. I'm sorry.
We can.
We're not going to do it without that.
Let me think. Yeah, we are. Just
Really
right
gonna-
the way. Right the way off.
One for all and all for yourselves. That's how
Yep.
it goes, isn't it?
Aircon is off.
Three, two, one. I don't want to sound like you, but the launch control of this car is so complicated. There's a YouTube video about it, and I have watched it, but I've forgotten.
Finally, I waved the white flag. And then we took a closer look at the savage beating heart of the Exorcist. And that's a standard Corvette engine, basically,
Z06, yep.
with a supercharger plonked on the top. That's there, yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
2.9 litre supercharger.
So the bit they've bolted to your engine is bigger than most European engines.
Yes.
So's the one on mine. It's 2.7 litres.
Yeah, not as big. The point is, Hammond, this is the Exorcist. The job of the Exorcist is to vanquish the demon.
It's like, you remember in the 60s, I think Di Tommaso made a car called the Mangusta, which is Italian for mongoose.
Yes, and a mongoose can kill a cobra, can't it?
That's why they did it.
Yes, but this hasn't vanquished the demon. It hasn't beaten it.
Tell you what, why don't you find a racetrack or a runway somewhere, okay? I'll gracefully bow out, and we can have a race between good and evil. First, though, we decided to find out which of our cars makes the loudest noise. There were, of course, many possible locations for this important test. But eventually, we found one that was absolutely ideal.
Since the owners feared the noise from our engines would bring down the crumbling roof, we were given protective clothing.
I'm going to put this on because there may be dust. There will be dust.
Traction off. I'll just make wheel spin. Wheel spin, that just makes a huge amount of noise. Are you ready?
Yes.
Go. pretty horrible.
How loud?
Well, at its peak,
Yep.
125.2. Oh, wait a minute, you don't know. You're the first to go.
125?
Yes.
The Who, widely regarded to be the loudest rock band of all time.
Yes.
126 decibels. Deep Purple, a mere 117 decibels. That car is louder than Deep Purple.
But probably a lot quieter than my demon.
Any minute now, paramedic will be cutting his trousers off.
You should have taken them off before he got in.
Joe, I don't know why he wears trousers.
Here we go, ready in 3, 2. Oh, wait a minute, it hasn't done it. Easy mistake. We've all done it, forgotten the key when you're donutting in a Detroit theatre that's been turned into a multi-storey car park. Everybody's been there.
Okay, in 3, 2...
We're off. Oh, for God's sake.
Oh. 125.2 to beat.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of noise.
118.8, Tiptoe Boy.
2.7 litre capacity supercharger on it. It's
Yeah, but it doesn't make
well,
any
they didn't
noise.
build it for this. They built it for drag racing, and they wouldn't let me
Oh,
do
what,
that.
did they?
So,
Did they?
How do we know?
well, they did.
Before this sore point became even sorer, I sent James off to have a go.
Don't think he's ever done a donut
No,
in his life.
no.
We are about to witness James D. May losing his virginity.
Popping his donut cherry.
James May, are you ready? Fire it up in 3... It took him a little while, but eventually he got the hang of it.
What's my score?
Why don't we just go? Come on, James, we've got to go.
Yep, moving on.
What was it?
Oh, I've wiped it.
No, you haven't.
It was 12.
Come on, what was... Why have I got this on my face? What was
It was
it?
128, so just 2.8 more than me.
So more.
Yes.
Hold that.
Why?
Please just hold that.
Oh, I hate the victory dance. I hate the victory dance.
Good, right, let's
How
move
much
on.
is your car? How much?
98, something like that.
£98,000.
Yes.
40,000.
Yeah, but mine's better, so it's more expensive.
40,000.
Faster and louder.
720 horsepower, £40,000.
Am I the only person here who understands muscle cars?
That's a ridiculous thing to say.
You asked for it. You asked for it. You never got the burgers either.
No, you didn't. We shall pick that up later on.
You may remember in the very first show of the Grand Tour in the first season, I was blown away by McLaren P1.
Yeah, I do remember. You said it would be faster than the Porsche 918 and the Ferrari, And, no, wait a minute. It wasn't, was it? And as a result, the only thing that got blown away was your house.
Yes, that's undoubtedly true.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it remains to this day the most exciting, most brutal, most visceral car I've ever driven. And I didn't think it could ever be topped. But McLaren have given it a bash. And I thought, well, if they've built a car that can out P1 a P1, I'd better test it somewhere a bit less narrow and a bit less tree-lined and a bit less covered in deers and badgers than the Ebola-drome. So I took it to the fastest racetrack in Europe, which is, actually, anyone want to guess which it is? No, not Monza. Not Spa.
Do you know?
What?
Do you know?
Thruxton.
Boys.
Thruxton is the fastest racetrack in Europe. So that's where I took the new McLaren.
Hello, fellow driving enthusiasts. James here. Owing to the unique way we make video games, we are sadly unable to have the McLaren Senna in this episode for now. Apologies for that. As a sort of consolation prize, we're going to go back and look at Hammond driving the equally fantastic McLaren 720S from Season 2. It's a cracker, apart from the Hammond bit. Let's see what all the fuss is about.
Fastest racetrack in Europe. So that's where I took the new McLaren.
Hello, fellow driving enthusiasts. James here. Owing to the unique way we make video games, we are sadly unable to have the McLaren Senna in this episode for now. Apologies for that. As a sort of consolation prize, we're going to go back and look at Hammond driving the equally fantastic McLaren 720S from Season 2. It's a cracker, apart from the Hammond bit.
While the outgoing car may have been great to drive, it was never what you'd call beautiful or even very exciting to look at. But its replacement, well, that's a different matter. It's called the 720S, and from any angle and in every detail, it's simply sensational. Right down to the engine bay that glows red when you unlock the doors.
Yep, on the head turnometer, this thing definitely matches the Ferrari 488 and the Lamborghini Huracan. And then when we move on to the business of speed and power, it actually beats them.
To 60 takes just 2.8 seconds.
Right there. Come on, keep going. Oh, for God's sake.
To 60 takes just 2.8 seconds.
Oh my God.
To 60 takes just 2.8 seconds. Top speed is 212 miles an hour. Both those numbers walloping the efforts of the...
Hang on a minute.
0 to 60 takes just 2.8 seconds. Top speed is 212 miles an hour. Both those numbers walloping the efforts of the Italians.
Everything is bigger in this car. Even the price, £208,000. Oh, wait. That's not a good point, is it? No, that's a... Yeah, never mind, whatever. The horsepower is... Well, it's ridiculous is what it is. This 4-litre V8 with its twin turbos produces 710 of them. To put that into context, the actual mechanical engine in a McLaren P1 without all the hybrid battery boost produces just 17 horsepower more. Net result of that is... staggering! Well, I'm falling in love a bit here. God's sake. Oh, no. Oh, God! Oh, that is fast.
However, although they've gone nuts with the styling and the engine, the 720 is still very much a McLaren.
By that, I mean it's been made by the ultimate tech nerds from the kingdom of geeks. Let me put it this way. This is, like I say, the replacement for the McLaren 650S. And if you ask a McLaren technician, so how much of this car is new then? They will tell you 91%. Not nearly all of it, mate, or about 90%. 91%. James May applied for a job at McLaren, but they turned him down for being too slapdash.
And this incredible geekery has paid dividends. For example, one of the reasons the 720 looks so pretty is because it's the only mid-engine supercar without massive gaping intakes behind the doors. Instead, McLaren created subtle channels along the bodywork to feed air into the engine bay.
More nerd stuff. The old car, the 650, had a carbon fibre tub that came up to here. On the 720, all of that down the centre, everything is carbon fibre. That means these carbon windscreen pillars can be very thin, which makes it easier to see out, and it's light. Overall, they've lost about 18 kilograms up here. That means the centre of gravity is lower, which is good. God, it's the grip! It's staggering! It feels like a four-wheel drive. But if you do want things to get a little more nary, simply dive into the computers and activate variable drift control. It lets you select the angle of dangle through your drift by varying the amount of traction control. I think we'll go for all of it. Lots of drift available. Go, go, go! Give me everything you've got! Traction control. I think we'll go for all of it. Lots of drift available.
You can switch back to comfort mode and settle down for a relaxing cruise.
That's the thing that stands out about this car. It's everything in one. You want speed, you get speed. You want comfort, you get comfort. You want to lose tyre rubber, help yourself. You want boot space, There's plenty.
But the thing I keep coming back to is those looks. Because at last, McLaren's technical perfection has been clothed in a way that does justice to the fizzing brilliance underneath.
God, I'm falling in love a bit here. Actually, no, I'll go further. I'm in love. This is utterly brilliant.
Proud to be British for that. We must now get back to our film.
Yes.
Earlier on, we decided that Detroit should be a big sort of petrol-head theme park. So we went over there with 3 tuned muscle cars.
Yep, and so far we've staged a drag race, done some donuts, and Jeremy has driven over some vegetables.
And then the next day, we decided that what Detroit really needs is a racetrack.
Yeah, even though it already has 2.
Yes, but we wanted something more earthy. So we headed for the city centre. Having returned to the rundown suburbs, we eventually found the perfect place to build a racetrack. Cadillac's old Connor Avenue factory. For over 60 years, they stamped out the body panels here for icons like the Eldorado, the Fleetwood, and the Coupe de Ville. If it were up to James, this creaking monument to the Motor City's decline would be turned into a shrubbery. But it wasn't up to James. So it would become a Monte Carlo-style tunnel feature on our Detroit-themed racetrack. Because building the track involved heavy machinery and manual labour, Hammond insisted on doing everything himself.
That is going to be a fast corner.
Despite this, though, he soon had everything ready. Because the track had been built by the world's most accident-prone driver, we thought it best that the God-fearing exorcist should christen it.
Away! Full throttle.
James couldn't wait to give Hammond some constructive feedback. Best that the God-fearing exorcist should christen it. James couldn't wait to give Hammond some constructive. The God-fearing exorcist should christen it. done, James couldn't wait to give Hammond some constructive feedback.
I just want to say, Hammond, you witless dishcloth. That is the worst racetrack I've ever been round. It's slippery, it's full of holes, it's full of obstacles for you to crash into, it's narrow.
It's challenging, is it? Technical.
It's not challenging, it's only about that much bigger than the car, and it's made of butter. And it appears to be full of asbestos waste.
Oh, it is full of asbestos.
Yeah, I'm sorry about
Oh, well,
that.
thank you.
Sorry, yeah, close your window.
All of us then set about our practice laps on Hammond's death trap. However, these were just unofficial practice laps. Now it was time for the one-shot, winner-takes-all real thing.
In 3, 2, 1, begin!
Hey! Oh, no! Proved myself.
Funny noise.
However, the trouser accident had clearly been worth it.
Yep.
I'm happy with that, and I haven't hit any famous musicians or bits of old car factory.
Next, it was the turn of Corporal Crash.
Where's the fire engine gone? I saw
Fire
it
engine's
earlier.
over there. Ambulance is...
Oh, we're all comedians today.
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember, if you lose to James May...
It's more humiliating. It's worse than death.
In 3, 2, 1...
Oh, no.
My own car doesn't fit around my own racetrack. What have I done?
Oh, my God. Oh, here we go, here we go. Oh, I'm slightly alarmed. Oh, for God's sake. dangerous because of you. Come on, this is it.
Oh my God!
Dear God. That felt good. It felt like a quick one.
I don't know how to put this to you, but...
No.
0.4 of a second slower than James May.
This is what death feels like.
Yep, OK, get out of the demon. We've done the demon and the exorcist. It's time for the Blue Nun.
Blue Nun?
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally pointless waste of time there. We've established the Mustang is the fastest by an enormous margin. But I'll go and do it, I suppose.
Jeremy Smug in My Little Pony, are you ready?
In 3, 2, 1,
Quite carefully.
Oh my God! That's it, keep going, keep going. For God's sake. Tricky. Now we go on to the really fast bit. Oh, God. Get on with it! For God's sake. Yep. That'll do. There we go. Speed up again now.
you're running.
I know, but you'll see. Got to get down to this corner before he gets back. Help me tip this over.
What is it?
It's organic palm oil, very slippery. It's the revenge of the urban farmer.
Into the blind bend. There is Stevie Wonder.
You do know it's palm oil that's ruining life for the world's orangutans.
Only this one.
Come on, come on. Short shifting into third.
And on that terrible disappointment...
For him.
It's back to the tent.
You. I thought it had been you.
Oh, no.
You ruined my lap.
You said Detroit had to be a playground, and that's what I was doing. I was playing.
Listen, can my practice time stand? Because that was still the quickest.
That's not how it works. You can't just say that because you were the quickest in qualifying, you would have won the race if you hadn't crashed.
Well, I can say it.
Well, you can say it. I could say I'm the captain of the English cricket team. I wouldn't be any good at it.
Well, moving on.
I know where he was going with that. Anyway, look, in part one of that film, we said that we would have a race between the Demon and the Exorcist, a drag race, yeah? And then it never happened.